So now I want to move into strategy. Okay, those are the core principles. I want to move into strategy. The first is we need to go on the offense. Okay, that means we need to quit reacting to them and get into their wheelhouse. Make them resign. Make them walk away. Make them be reacting to our resolutions. Make them be reacting to our ideas for laws. And most of our ideas are probably going to be repealing laws. Then we need to build coalitions around issues of principle and identify legislators and organizations and churches. And the third thing is we need to be the media. Now I'm going to say something about Read Out News. Okay? We have been wanting for years a source, unbiased, of news about freedom and liberty in this area. And now we actually have it. Very professional news site. You can send people there. We link there all the time. We need to be the media. We don't need to rely on the Spokesman Review. We don't need to rely on the Inslander. We need to be the media. There's technology today called Periscope, for example, where you can literally walk up to a reporter and you can start interviewing them. Now, why would I do that? So I did that actually at the rally. We rallied on the Capitol steps, and I told everybody in the audience, I was like, go, grab your iPhone, grab your Android, download Periscope, and then I want you, when this rally is done, to go interview every single reporter you see and ask them why they don't support life, why they don't support the right to bear arms. You should have seen how fast those reporters cleared out. Believe it. Be the media. We don't need them. We have social media. I hate Facebook. I do. I hate Facebook. It's intentionally gathering information. Everybody knows that. But look, it is one of the quickest ways we can get information out to everybody. And we can be the media. That's how all this stuff came out. The truth came out about what happened in Oregon. We can be the media. We've got great radio shows here with Rick Rydell. We've got great radio shows with Mike Fagan. I have Patriot Radio. We can be the media. And we have Read Out News. The next is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is make them defend their position, ask them the questions, make sure you're doing that, but not just the media. Make legislators answer the hard questions. Let me give you an example. So, are you pro-life? Well, I'm pro-life. Really? And then most people walk away. No, that's not the full question. So are you pro-life in every circumstance? Is life sacred in every circumstance? Even rape and incest. Ooh, Matt, you're treading on dangerous ground. We need to ask those questions of our legislators. Will you vote to defund abortion in Washington State with Planned Parenthood, yes or no? Now, Judy Crowder has been working feverishly all year, brought us to a vote this year, and we came within 2 votes of defunding abortion in Washington State. 2, because of her work. But we need to ask those tough questions. How will you vote if? Not, are you pro-life, are you pro-gun? How will you vote if? All right, the 5th thing, we need to embrace the youth and become a mentor, okay? That means we need to pick a young person. Now I said this the other night, and some lady just went, ha ha! I went, whoa. I talked to her, and she said, there's no young people listen to me. I said, well, there are a lot of young people out there that want wisdom. They exist. There's dozens of them up in Northeast Washington that I met with recently. Find a young person and mentor. Pour into their lives. Invest in them. You know, the greatest failing of the greatest generation is they didn't pass on the lessons that were learned. They didn't pass them on. And now we're going through the same thing again. Pass on the lessons to the next generation so they don't have to make the same mistakes. So let's talk tactics about how to physically organize and do some things. The first is strengthen numbers. We need to take that mentality of strength in numbers. That means we form a group on an issue. You form an organization on an issue, you build a social media page on an issue, you identify like-minded leaders and groups and churches and organizations, create an email list, and hold an event to recruit. Sounds pretty simple, but if we don't do it, it doesn't work. Now, the Anti-Vax Coalition and many of those folks, I mean, this was a huge, like 10,000 moms that were really upset about this. They got together and they did exactly that. They formed an issue page, they went on the offense, and lo and behold, we come down, it was one of the tenser moments of legislation. We come down, they're going to vote on this thing, right? Forced vaccinations, right? They're going to vote on it. Well, then the vote gets delayed. And they're calling and emailing feverishly, and it gets delayed a little longer. And then we got 5 minutes. If it doesn't get voted on in 5 minutes, the bill's dead, and I'm just all tense, so I'm going to vote on this or not. And the bill dies. By one vote. Because those moms organized like that. Wow!
Yeah.
The next thing you need to do as a group is you need to do the research. Use the Public Records Act. Okay, we don't use that thing enough. Use the Public Records Act and get documents out. It's a great tool. Sometimes you can stop them in their tracks just by asking for public records. No joke. Sometimes you can just stop them right there because they don't want to talk about what really goes on behind the closed doors, right? So let me give you some examples. Ask for their GPS coordinates from their phone. I've done public records requests on that. And you know what? You find some really interesting places where these guys go on official time. You know, oh, I don't know, an adult bookstore, for example. So, yeah, you think I'm making it up? It's true. Ask for GPS coordinates. Ask for their expense reports. Ask for their calendar. Ask for their emails. Ask for their texts. There was a Washington State Supreme Court opinion came out recently. They have to release their text from their phone. And guess what they're talking about on their text messages? Not very flattering to you and I. The next thing is, and this is really key, do background checks on the bureaucrats. Have you ever noticed they come in, they'll audit your business? How many of you had an audit in your business, you know? Employment security, L&I, maybe you had a tax audit. Okay, they do that and they expect all this information from you, right? Your whole life's history, everything they possibly get out of your background. Do the same to them. Do a background check on them. Take it one step further. Go on social media, find their social media page and stuff that they post and do screenshots of it. You'll find some very interesting things on there. Then if you get really brave, call them and ask them just direct questions. You'll have all kinds of interesting things that happen. Department of Ecology earlier this year, every flag at the state capitol was at half-mast for one of the soldiers that we lost overseas. Except for the Department of Ecology. Right? So, one of our folks called them up. Why is it? Oh, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's at half-mast. No, it's not. He took a picture of it, posted it on the internet. Right? Go ask them questions and make them commit to something like that, and then post it on the internet and see what happens. And then they backtracked and retracted. Oh, this is just made up to attack us poor Department of Ecology people. Well, now they're on the defense, right? And always, always find the primary source document for anything you're doing research on. Now, I violated this one time, and it was earlier this year. I pulled a bill off the shelf. We have bills that we keep on the shelf for certain occasions. I pulled off the bill, and we didn't check a couple of the quotes, right? And guess what happened? You know, they tried to turn this into a huge story, you know, and we fixed them. You know, we fixed the quotes. That's never in the news, though. But you don't want to put yourself in that position. Make sure you got the primary source document for everything. A couple years ago, there was a member of another organization in this town who challenged my veteran record. But I had all the primary source documents. I posted it online and then demanded an apology from them. That's why we have primary source documents, and one of the reasons we have to do that if we're organizing. The next thing, the third thing, is frame the issue. I call this personalizing. There's 3 P's. Personalize, popularize, polarize. Personalize, popularize, polarize. Okay? Framing the issue. First of all, make sure that you identify the justice principle for what you're seeking. So for example, down at Mahler Refuge, that was never public land. It was private land. How's that just? How's it just that you can deprive somebody of the economic viability of their land through rules and regulation, make it so impossible for them to farm or ranch on it, and then seize their land because they can't make the payments? How's that just? It's not just, that's theft. So identify the justice principle. Use 30 seconds, and Jeff Holy says this, Representative Holy, 30 seconds with an emotional punch. That means you've got to tell a story. Gather stories of abuse that have occurred, right? If all of a sudden you've got an issue in your neighborhood, you've got an issue in your area, gather the stories of abuse and have a big list of them with people that are willing to tell those stories in front of the legislature, in front of the county council, in front of the city council. Does that make sense? All right, and then identify 5 simple message points, keeping it one sentence, and then a second sentence with the facts that you had researched previously to back it up. Very simple. 5 message points. Don't stray off of them. One thing Donald Trump does very, very well is he stays on his message points. He does not stray. It doesn't even matter the question that's asked. He goes back to his message points. It's kind of amazing, actually. But stay on your message points. Don't let them distract you. All right, the 4th thing, popularize. Make it news. That means educate people on the issue, and then use social media and radio to get your message out there far and wide. That issue up there in Priest River, nobody knew about it, so Priest River, Idaho, right? So we're going to have in our backyard. 790 shares on that, on my just my Facebook post. Went viral across the country. Supporters from everywhere. Had a radio station from Mississippi call up. Y'all want to do an interview? Absolutely. Talking about guns. I love talking about guns. Right? Make it news. Okay, the 5th thing, polarize. That means use your message points and stories to turn this whole thing into a cause. That's what the coalition has done very well on several occasions. Turn it into a cause. Identify what your action items are for your folks and for everybody else since you made it news. Identify action items. And we have a tendency, I'm going to stop there for a second. We have a tendency to, we want to go protest, right? I don't want to protest. I'm going to have a rally. There's a difference. A rally has a specific intended consequence that they want to see happen. So maybe it's kill a bill. Rally, and we're going up into our legislator's office and we want to kill that bill. Maybe it's a rally and we want a rule like the transgender bathroom rule to be thrown out. Whatever it is, know the difference. A protest is just saying, hey, that's wrong. Do something that has that goal in mind. And when I say identify action items, put them out on Facebook. You know, here's what you guys need to do. Call in. Everybody flood in. I remember 3 years ago, we had this anti-gun bill on the floor of the House of Representatives, and we had everybody calling in as fast as they could. And we're in a minority. I think at that time it was like 4 or 5 vote minority. We're in a minority, and we killed that gun bill on the floor of the House of Representatives because we acted together and we put that action order down. The last thing that I would mention as far as that's concerned is, I always talk about calling and emailing, but come and testify in a committee. Yeah, it's hard to drive all the way over to Olympia, but come and testify in a committee. We're trying to get remote testimony going. So it'll be down at the community college, but testify in these committee hearings and tell your story, or tell the story of your neighbor. It's amazing how that can change things. And if you want the legislative hotline number, it's 1-800-562-6000, 1-800-562-6000. That's the Washington State Legislative Hotline number. Call in there. And then last but not least, hold a forum for candidates. Make them answer the questions you're talking about, make them do it publicly on the record. I'm not afraid of talking about guns. I'm not afraid of talking about the life issue. I'm not afraid of any of that. Get them on the record.